February frenzy and a whole lot of basketball. SEC's leading rebounder Sylvia Fowles ready to lead LSU in a top 10 battle against UConn. Katie Gerald's and Purdue. Gerald's coming off a 24-12 game against Illinois. Got the Boilers taking on Michigan State. And then you have Christy Curry's current team, Texas Tech, led by senior Alicia Robertson, looking to avenge a close loss last year to Kansas State. And finally, the outstanding freshman Epiphany Prince of Rutgers, ready to battle West Virginia in a Big East battle. And with that, welcome into our college basketball studios, everyone. Scott Reese hanging out with Kara Lawson and Stacey Dales. We just couldn't wait for this March Madness thing, so we've got February Frenzy, 8 great games in 5 hours here on ESPN2. And Kara, if there is one thing that jumps out at you above all the rest, what's it going to be?
Well, I think it's the big-time matchup you have in the Big Ten between Purdue and Michigan State. This is a battle for second place in that conference, but both teams' prospects for winning the Big Ten regular season, or more importantly, the Big Ten tourney, got a little bit better, Stacey, with that injury to Brandy Hoskins at Ohio State.
Definitely. That's going to be a terrific game. The game that I'm excited to see, though, is Connecticut heading down to Baton Rouge to play LSU. You're going to see the number 4 team, according to the rankings, on the road. This, if Connecticut can win this game, would be a signature win, be a definitive statement in the minds of the committee that this could be a number 1 seed. And I've been high on Connecticut all year. The team that wins in the paint, I think, will win this basketball game.
UConn won that matchup in Hartford last year. We'll see if LSU can return the favor. We will start all of you with Tina Charles and UConn taking on LSU in Baton Rouge. Those of you waiting for one of the other 3 games will get out there as soon as they tip on February Frenzy here on ESPN2.
For a matchup between 2 top 7 teams in Connecticut and LSU. The Lady Tigers, the best defensive team in the country, giving up only 48 points per game, taking on Connecticut, whose only losses this season have come to Tennessee and North Carolina. And our Star Watch, 2 very big and talented players.
Well, everything will start in the middle, certainly for the freshman, Tina Charles. She's big, she's strong, she can run and rebound, but Sylvia Fowles has played her best basketball against top 25 teams, trying to show why she should be an All-American.
Fowles a junior and Charles just a freshman. In fact, as you look at our starting lineups, neither one of these teams have any seniors on their roster, much less in their starting lineups.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of these teams. A lot of young players are getting quality minutes to show their stuff.
Renee Montgomery and Erica White, respectively, are the point guards, 2 very talented point guards. These 2 teams meeting for only the 3rd time in their history. Connecticut leads the series 2-0 and won last year in Hartford.
Well, as Stacey Dales alluded to in the pregame show, I really do think whoever dominates the paint and wins the battle of the board controls this game.
LSU has had some struggles offensively this season, only 9th in the SEC in scoring. Right away, they go to Fowles.
She must have cable.
Wow. Sylvia Fowles, 6'6" junior, averaging 17 points and 12 rebounds per game.
LSU does such a good job getting out on shooters, but that time they came out with their hands to their side. Put a hand and match the shooter's shooting stroke.
Renee Montgomery able to knock down that shot. Connecticut takes a 3-2 lead, and now the outside shot taken and missed by Rashante LeBlanc. And here come the Huskies.
Again, you have 2 contrasting styles. This is what Connecticut wants to do. They want to push tempo. 7th in the nation in scoring at 7-8 points a game. The number 1 defensive team in the country is LSU, giving up 47.
LeBlanc almost got a steal there, but stepped on the end line, so Connecticut keeps possession with 23 seconds left on the shot clock. Inside, the ball bouncing off the backboard, and LSU gets it. And they do like to push tempo. That's their point guard, Erica White, only 5'3".
She's had some great mentors in Pokey Chapman and also WNBA Rookie of the Year 2 seasons ago, Tamika Johnson.
And look at Tina Charles block her shot, and then the foul is called on White, trying to get it back. This LSU team has a very impressive home winning streak. In fact, the longest in the country now. They have won 43 straight games. Their last loss at home almost 3 years ago to Vanderbilt.
Well, that just shows you how important it is to take care of business at home. The road games are tough enough.
Charles matched up against Thomas is able to bank it in. Tina, the much heralded freshman from Christ the King High School in New York.
Tina Charles was bred for success as Connecticut starts out in a 2-3 zone, and it will conform to the shooters of LSU.
Cheney tried to get it to Fowles, but LeBlanc is able to get it back for the Lady Tigers. And the ball will stay with LSU. Gino Auriemma with 5 national championships, and look at the consecutive weeks in the top 25. Now 90's really good.
Yeah, very
259 is sick.
Well, that's off the chain right there. Just a tribute to what Connecticut has done.
Fowles over her right shoulder, misses. Charles with the rebound.
Pam, the piece of Sylvia Fowles' game that she continued to improve is her counter moves, not just the first shot, but the second.
Sharday Houston took too many steps. The ball comes back to LSU. 3rd turnover already for the Huskies. LSU with 3 losses on the season, falling to Baylor, Ole Miss, and Georgia. In the very tough SEC, the SEC, the #1 ranked conference as far as RPI is concerned. Kiana Cheney's their outside threat.
See how patient they are, reversing the basketball, drawing defense, and hitting a gap.
But LeBlanc shot a little bit too hard off the glass, and that's one thing Pokey Chapman said. We asked about the offensive struggles, and she said we're still getting some good looks at the basket, so she's not too frustrated. Kiana Cheney, their leading 3-point shooter, way off the mark that time. And then LeBlanc is whistled for a personal foul. Gino Auriemma has won 610 games, 84% of his games in 22 seasons. And of course, the most important thing for him, he's got 5 rings.
Well, 5 rings, and also on a personal note, Naismith, Hall of Fame inductee, Women's Basketball Hall of Fame inductee a year ago. What an incredible season he had.
They have not made the Final Four the last couple of seasons, which in Husky land is a major disaster. They're used to it. Oh, nice move inside, and the finish for Sharday Houston. A bunch of talent, a mess of talent with Houston, but not always consistent.
Well, not always consistent, but I think this year at 11 points a game and the balance within Connecticut's offense, she has come to a different level. This is a kid that broke Cheryl Miller's all-time high school scoring record in California with over 3,800 points.
Cheney inside and finally is able to score, breaking that 7-0 UConn run. Kiana Cheney, the junior, grew up right here in Baton Rouge.
She's been knocking down shots, almost has doubled her average from a season ago. That's why LSU's been so good.
UConn up by 3. Houston left wide open, and she makes the shot. She has 4 points, and the lead is back up to 5. A little hesitation by Cheney, who takes it nicely to the hole.
Hey, her first step is so explosive to the rim, but it is set up by her ability to knock down threes.
And LSU able to come away with the basketball. This is what they want to do, push tempo. Cheney back to Phillips, who was just able to save it back to White. Still plenty of time left on the shot clock.
But both teams have started in a zone, and they're forcing the other guy to shoot the outside shot.
LeBlanc left open for 3 and makes him pay. Rochante LeBlanc has tied this game up at 9.
Against the zone, you want to go inside out, reverse the ball on the diagonal, and dive a post.
Oh, nice 3-point shot. Renee Montgomery now has 2 on the day, and it's 12-9 Connecticut. But right back, LSU trying to force it. Fowles is there.
You better box out Fowles early and often. She is so strong, pushing you under the rim.
She's 5th in the nation in rebounding, 6th in field goal percentage. It's 62% from the floor.
And she only plays 28 minutes a game.
Wow, and Mel Thomas, not so good on 2-pointers. She's their best 3-point threat, 44% on 3s, only 34% on 2, and she missed that one. LeBlanc inside, another block for Charles.
This is great basketball for national TV.
Oh, up and down to Kalena Green with a terrific feed from Renee Montgomery. UConn, you already mentioned their balance. All 5 starters averaging in double figures for the Huskies, who lead by 3.
Well, between that, no seniors, and the fact that it was the 39-0 team of 2001-2002, they also had 5 players in double figures.
Freshman Portia Phillips high school All-American, gets her first bucket. Great start. Connecticut up by 1.
Portia Phillips, so active. Saw her at the Nike Skills Academy last year.
Houston with the miss. Fowles able to get the rebound for LSU. Fowles has had 12 straight double-doubles for the Lady Tigers. Phillips for 2 with a foot on the line, and that one is short.
Okay, the one thing we have not seen thus far is somebody stopping the ball in transition and making teams play half court.
Charles, that one a little bit too strong, and Phillips is fouled by Houston on the rebound. Finally, we can take a breath. What a great start to this game. Connecticut leading LSU by 1. February frenzy indeed, as Connecticut leads LSU 14-13 here in the first half. Pam, we're joined by Hall of Famer Nancy Lieberman. It's appropriate we're in the Pete Maravich Center because people are scoring like Pete Maravich is here.
Well, not only that, but the coaches are wearing sneakers because this tempo has been at a torrid pace right now. I can't believe 12 of 25 for both teams, and they pride themselves on defense and low opponents' field goal shooting percentage. Both teams on the year hold their opponents to about 30-31%, and right now the defense hasn't even had a chance to make its mark.
LSU, in fact, #1 in the entire country. Their opponent shooting 31.5% for the season. Connecticut's opponents only 33.1%. Hightower, the much-touted freshman in the game, and dishes it to Cheney, who has 6. Kiana Cheney now with 6 points, and LSU retakes the lead.
And LSU's been in that zone since the game started, a little bit of a 3-2, trying to take away the inside play of Charles.
He's now behind Sylvia Fowles. That shot is off the mark by Montgomery. Rebound, ball on the floor. And a held ball. The possession arrow keeps it with Connecticut.
Cheney, they call her Q, has been amazing. Look at the quick step, splits the defense, eye on the rim. She just goes so hard and has so much confidence and is averaging 12.5 points a game this year.
And Fowles got in front of that Charles shot and then battles for the rebound, and it will come over to LSU.
Pam, it was just a couple years ago that everybody was talking about Sylvia Fowles being this young, unbelievable, next-level player. Now she's got her predecessor in Tina Charles, and everybody's looking at Sylvia Fowles and look, you're an upperclassman now.
At 6'6", she's a couple of inches taller than Charles. Fowles the junior, Charles the freshman.
Just gets great seal position on the inside, turns and scores.
That is difficult, if not impossible, to defend. That was a nice pass by Hightower.
Well, it's difficult to defend after she gets the ball. You have to do your work early and get her off the spot.
Fowles getting in front of that pass. Kalina Green with the drive and the bucket.
They just get the ball down the court so fast, so they end up having 25 or more seconds in the half court to run some set offense.
Hightower able to get her own miss. She's not shy about shooting, is she? She's going to go to the free throw line.
The McDonald's All-American, beautiful lefty floater to the rim.
Allison Hightower heading to the line as LSU leads UConn by 3.
LSU up 3 over #4 Connecticut. Watch this post defense right here. Tina Charles is standing straight up against Sylvia Fowles. She is beat while the ball is in the point guard's hand. Now watch Fowles do work right here. Watch this seal, pin, read the defense, what shoulder she's attacking, and she just spins and creates separation. That is experience. On the other side, Tina Charles has to work harder before Sylvia Fowles gets the basketball.
And you see the points in the paint. LSU with 14. Fowles has 6 of them. We expected this great matchup between Sylvia Fowles and Tina Charles. Much anticipated between these two talents. And boy, Fowles at 6'6". Charles taking a break. You see she has a shoulder brace. That's sort of an ongoing problem with her. She has to go through rehab as Hightower completes the three-point play, the freshman from Arlington, Texas.
Well, the freshman, when she comes in the game, you know she's into score. She's taking the 4th amount of shots on this LSU team.
5th turnover for UConn as Hightower takes it away. LSU with a 4-point lead over the Huskies. LSU running that motion offense as the shot clock hits 10.
Well, they run a motion offense against man and zone.
And there's a steal by Keisha Soigné, and this is her forte. Soigné comes in and instantly can change the game with steals and tempo.
Well, she changes the pace of the game. She is very physical. She hounds you with her hands, and she's got incredible foot speed.
She is in there the same time as Renee Montgomery. The other point, Allison Hightower for 3.
The more confidence she has had has a direct correlation to SEC play. She's just taken it up a notch.
Hightower with 6 points, 1 on an old-fashioned 3-point play, and that on her 11th made 3 of the season.
Well, both teams do a great job of mixing up their defenses and keeping the other guy guessing.
Montgomery just a little bit short on the baseline drive. LSU pushes.
Great recognition by White to pull it out.
She was guarded by Megan Gardler. Fouls over Sharday Houston. That's too much.
Okay, Sylvia Fowles right there gets an A+ not only for effort to the offensive glass, but then being able to split the defense and have focus on the rim.
Last year against Connecticut, she had 12 points and 15 rebounds. She already has 8 points and 5 rebounds today. So she's been chewing them up. Montgomery, good help defense as Hightower got over there, and with the kick, Connecticut keeps it. Let's go back and look at fouls.
Against Fowles, you have to box her out once, twice. Watch her on the weak side. Everybody went for the ball. That time, Sharday Houston tried to box her out, but you not only can box her out, you got to hold her out. And Pokey Tem said, if I was a post, I would have been just like Sylvia Fowles.
Boy, how much was she, as a great point guard that Pokey was, to play with Fowles.
Well, she played for the legendary coach, Sue Gunner, the Hall of Famer, who passed away a year ago.
Ball coming back to LSU. Coming up on ESPN2, more regional coverage of women's college basketball after us. Kentucky, Tennessee. Others get East Carolina, Tulsa, Miami, BC, or DePaul, Notre Dame. February Frenzy continues on ESPN2 today at 5 Eastern, 4 Central on ESPN, your exclusive home for the women's NCAA championship.
Well, that will be only Tennessee's 12th ranked opponent this season. Thus far, they're 9-2.
They always play that tough schedule. They've already beaten Connecticut, and there you see the SEC standings. LSU right behind Tennessee. Georgia, one of the teams that has beaten LSU this year, along with Ole Miss. The SEC, again, #1 in the RPI. The ACC's #2 as far as conference RPI, even though they have 3 of the best teams in the country.
And it was only Mississippi State, Ole Miss, that scored over 70 points
right
against LSU this year.
The only team to score over 70 on them all year. That's unbelievable.
Amazing.
And giving up 30, or giving up only 48 points per game, as Tina Charles gets her 4th point.
Hey, Tina Charles is so good. This kid was groomed for success. I mean, you mentioned Christ the King High School, where Bird and Holtzclaw went to school, played on a great AAU team. Now she goes to one of the all-time great schools in Connecticut. It's like Tiger Woods. She was bred for success.
Playing in some of the best places in the country. Shot clock at 9. Hightower looking for fouls, but Charles is doing a great job blanketing her. And
Tina Charles showing that she's got the right moves. Averages 12 points a game. See, again, that's too late, and she's just seeing where Fowles is guarding her. She played her right shoulder, you drop step, and you finish.
And then on the defensive side, you see Charles's numbers, the 5-second call. Great defense by the Huskies in the half court. Elle Thomas has yet to score for Connecticut. She's their 3-point threat. That 3-pointer is missed by Soigné, and White pushes it up. White from Jacksonville, Florida, 2-time academic All-SEC. Said her mom would be very proud of that.
Yeah, well, when you want to become a pharmacist, you better be smart. Her uncle, Morgan White, was a pharmacist. She's the one who pushes tempo on this team. And just a beautiful read. You get overplayed on your high shoulder, it's an automatic backdoor.
As LeBlanc heads to the free throw line, there is Erica White. Wants to go into pharmacy school. Actually, some very impressive. Kiana Chaney and Ashley Thomas, both juniors, both on pace to graduate in only 3 years. for LSU.
Well, so much of that is just the system that Pokey Chapman employs here.
Oh, how about that systematic block by Sylvia Fowles?
Sylvia Fowles has had 42 blocks this year. Why do you insist on going up against 6'6" and long?
And a bank shot. Ashley Thomas didn't call it, but she knocked it in, and suddenly the lead is 10.
That is her best shot on the floor for Ashley Thomas. When everybody dives down on Sylvia Fowles, that whole top of the key is open to her.
Crowd really getting into it now, and that's an altered shot. It wasn't blocked, but altered. Houston left it short. White takes it in and just misses it as Charles grabs it for the Huskies. End-to-end action. We've had it all day. Tina Charles, yes. Quiets this crowd at least momentarily. Tina now with a half a dozen.
And that's a big basket for Connecticut because they had lost all momentum that they started in the beginning of the game.
LSU leading the Huskies now by 8. Thomas can't control it, and the ball is taken away by Sharday Houston. 5 turnovers apiece in this fast-paced game. It's been like a track meet. Up and under, Montgomery leaves it short, and Fowles gets it.
Okay, I think both teams are scrapping the half-court offense.
Boy, I tell you, we've had very few whistles in this game.
But the motion offense, you must play early on motion offense because of the screens on the weak side.
Sharday Houston with the foul. We've had a terrific start to this game. End-to-end action, LSU by 8 as we go over to Scott Reese.
All right, Pam, in West Lafayette, Purdue out to a terrific start against Michigan State. Jody Howell from the corner knocks down the triple. The Spartans just 1 of 15 from the floor. It is 13 for Boilers. Elsewhere, Maryland beats Virginia 83-74. Crystal Langhorne had a double-double by halftime in this game, finished with 19 points. Back to Pam and Nancy after this.
Welcome back to Baton Rouge. LSU leading Connecticut 30-22. This has been more like a track meet than a basketball game, and maybe the most valuable guy on the floor is that little guy, the towel guy and the water guy.
Yeah, look at Decanter going, I gotta have that. I need that water. Bring that back here, kid.
She took a whole pail of water from him because this has been a great game as both teams running up and down the court. Very few whistles.
Well, very few whistles, but very few offensive rebounds. Connecticut, and that's why the deficit, they only have 1 offensive rebound.
A nice pass from Chaney inside to Fowles, who was calling for it, and the foul has been called underneath on Kaylee McLaren, the freshman from Washington, D.C.
And Sylvia Fowles, the position she's getting down low. She already has 8 points, 7 rebounds, but she is getting so deep and pinning and sealing.
Neither one of these teams is a very good free throw shooting team. In fact, Sylvia just a 62% free throw shooter, but hits it first in LSU history in blocks, 14th in scoring. And you see she had a terrific game last year in the loss at the Hartford Civic Center. And Fowles hits both of them. And we visited with her before the game, and she's just a delightful kid. She looks mean and tough on the floor, but just a fun kid to be around.
Well, I have to qualify that because she hugged you.
Yeah,
and she goes in the Hall of Fame if she hugs Pam.
No, there's not many people in that Hall of Fame.
No, we keep a stat line.
But just a great kid, and what a terrific talent.
She is a sagging man-to-man defense by Connecticut. And, you know, you have to because you must defend the paint.
And that's one way to break it open. Portia Phillips now with 4 points. That's her season average. Her nickname is Pokey, much like her, just like her head coach, and this is the largest lead at a dozen.
Well, she's another Kodak, a high school McDonald's All-American, but between Phillips and Ashley Thomas, that top of the key is going to be open because everybody is sagging in on Sylvia Fowles.
Now Charles working against Fowles and somehow was able to get it over her hands.
That's called air under your shot. What beautiful recognition by the freshman.
8 points for Charles. Her last couple of games averaging 17.5 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 blocks. She has been terrific.
And that's a pretty big front line right there with McLaren in the game, who I absolutely love, the freshman. She's physical, she's strong, she's a great passer.
Connecticut with the ball, down 10. The ball knocked away once again, bodies on the floor, another held ball. And it goes to the Tigers. LSU going to 3 straight Final Fours and coming up empty all 3 times. LSU leading Connecticut by 10 in this battle of top 7 teams. Sylvia Fowles, one of the best post players in the country with the putback.
Sylvia Fowles just dominating the glass, averages 12 on the season, and has been absolutely unstoppable in the first half. She now has 3 offensive rebounds.
8 of them overall, 12 points, 8 rebounds, working on her 13 straight double-double. McLaren gets it knocked away momentarily, but Montgomery puts it up 3 just a little bit too hard. McLaren gets it blocked by Fowles. Charles unable to put it home, and Sylvia Fowles, a very hard worker, one of the first to practice, one of the last to leave. All that talent and also hustling, and the ball will stay with Connecticut.
Well, Sylvia Fowles told us that her goal this year was to play tough defense down in the low post, crash the boards on every shot, and she has done that repetitively this season.
As McLaren takes a break for Connecticut, as does Renee Montgomery.
You know, we might add, she's got such a great basketball build. This is a team that lost the 2-time Wade Trophy winner and WNBA Rookie of the Year, Simone Augustus. She was the go-to. Other players are now defining their roles for this great LSU team.
Swanier now running the point. Mel Thomas has yet to score for Connecticut. Houston looked like she got away with a walk, and Charles puts it in. A little bit of a break that time for the Huskies, as Charles now in double figures with 10. Great crowd here at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center.
Little overload by LSU right now, running a baseline cutter behind the zone. It's hard to defend somebody you can't see.
Cheney, the outside threat, decides to drive and gets the blocking foul called on Swanier. So Keisha Swanier called for her first personal foul. UConn, number 4 in the country, down by 10. Right here, LSU leading Connecticut by 10, and it's been the Sylvia Fowles show.
Well, she has demonstrated she has every piece of the skill set. I mean, the points and rebounds don't even hold weight to what she has done against Connecticut's post. She has changed shots. She has put doubt in the minds of players that drive to the basket. She is absolutely amazing. She has no fouls, no pun intended.
No. In fact, she's only fouled out of 1 game all year, which is remarkable considering that she's such a great shot blocker. And one thing Pokey Chapman said to us is, shot, you know, and what Pokey is driven into Sylvia as Cheney goes to the free throw line and hits the first one. It's blocking a shot is good, but you can only block your own man shot. Altering shots is better because that's everybody around you, and you affect many more shots that way.
And she also keeps those block shots and those deflections in play, so they get a chance to get more possessions.
Fowles, the junior from Miami, her team up by 11. And that's Kalena Green now with her 6th point of the day. Green, a sophomore from St. Stephen, South Carolina, has really elevated her game this season.
Well, the best part for LSU defensively is the fact that they have not allowed Connecticut to get to the foul line, and they average almost 19 attempts a game. That just shows you what their defense has done, kept them a perimeter scoring team.
Well, Thomas has yet to score as she misses the 3-pointer. Ball bounced around and finally controlled by LSU. And some of these players are sucking wind out there, Nancy, because this has been an up-and-down basketball game.
Yeah, well, there's no substitutions for the people in stripes.
Yes.
The officials. But you have to remember, for LSU, the last 2 years, they've had the Rookie of the Year in the WNBA. They've lost incredibly talented players.
And Tamika Johnson, and then, of course, Simone Augustus last year. And LSU this year, just 3 losses on the season. Ball bounced around, kept alive. Houston goes inside, in and out, fouls with another board. 9 rebounds, so 1 rebound away from a double-double. Hightower, does she have ups or what? She was the state triple jump champion in high school, as that rimmed out for her.
And plus, it's so tough to block a lefty shot. She releases it way up top, and if you do try to contest it, you're going to draw a foul by hitting her arm.
And her foul's a little bit over the back there against Charles. No foul call, and the ball stays with the Huskies. "15 seconds on the shot clock. Montgomery will check in at the next whistle for Connecticut. Houston zipping it to Green. Nice fake, but she's unable to bury the shot as she got Portia Phillips up in the air, but a fresh 30 for UConn.
One of my favorite UConn players is Mel Thomas. She's glue on this basketball team.
Wow, fouls with another block, but then a foul called, and Connecticut heads to the line. Coming up at the half, Scott Reese with Carol Lawson and Stacey Dales. They will show you highlights from all of these games, including a top 25 matchup between Michigan State and Purdue, so stick tight. Minute 33 of playing time from now, we'll get you to the studio.
And this is the first time Connecticut has been to the foul line in the game, and I really think that this is a way to manufacture points. This is a team that we said is 7th in the nation, 78 points a game. With a minute 33 to go, they've had 29. I don't think they've come across a defense like this.
LSU with the best defense, even better than Duke. Duke getting a lot of credit for its defense as well. They should, because they are the best team in the country.
Oh my gosh.
We're in consensus about that one, but boy, LSU right up there. #1, in fact, statistically in defense. And if Sylvia Fowles can start hitting shots from there, forget about it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I want to go back to Duke because they are having an exceptional year. Certainly at this point, a team that is worthy and could win a national championship with their balance and with their defense.
Last unbeaten team left as DeCanter gets Renee Montgomery for the up and down. That's 7 turnovers against the Huskies. North Carolina losing to Duke recently, so Duke's still unbeaten even though they play in the very tough ACC. Maybe finally Gail Gesson-Kors will get a ring.
Okay, I know this is going to stun a lot of people, not people at Duke, but Lindsey Harding is both mine and Pam's player of the year at this point. She has had a remarkable season.
Shot by LeBlanc is short. And there's Soignier pushing it up. Charles over fouls, you betcha. Tina Charles with 13 points, so Charles has 13, Fowles has 12.
Soignier just pushes the tempo. She has such quick feet, and she gets to you before the defense is able to set up and funnel you to a side of the floor.
What a great luxury to have 2 talented point guards in Montgomery and Soignier.
Yeah, different styles, but both very effective.
Fowles working against Charles, and they're going to get fouls. It looked like she hooked her arm around her. Yep, and that is exactly what Mark Zentz is saying.
You know, I'm surprised that they don't double her. See, it looked like they were trying to, but Fowles shuffled her feet.
So Sylvia Fowles and LSU leading the Huskies by a half dozen. We are back in Baton Rouge where we get to look again at Sylvia Fowles going to work.
Well, she's putting an all-American effort in. Early and often, we talked about how deep she gets in the lane. She can shoot over you, tenacious on the offensive boards, and she's relentless with her pursuit of finishing the play. I'm surprised that I haven't seen Connecticut show her different looks, double her from the weak side, double her from the opposite post, or the off guard.
Fowles gets her hand in the passing lane to force that turnover. Can LSU get a shot off? It's up to Hightower. And it just ticks off the rim. But LSU, they've won 46 straight games here at the Maravich Center, and they take another lead into the locker room as they lead #4 Connecticut 37-31. We head to the studio and Scott Reese.
It's game time. There ain't nobody hot as us up in your spot. Giving it to you play by play and shot for shot. ESPN is in the house, it's about to pop. The NCAA has got the game on lock, and we can't. Let's go!
About what we expected in this matchup of 2 top 7 teams as LSU leading Connecticut by 6 at the break. LSU riding a 43-game home court winning streak. Pam Ward along with Hall of Famer Nancy Lieberman. You got to give UConn credit. They were down 12 and looked a little bit on the ropes, but they finished strongly.
With about 4:44 to go, they were down 12, but they cut it to 6 because Tina Charles, the great freshman, she had 7 of her 13 points during that span. I really think she came up big when Connecticut needed her the most. But check this out right here. This is amazing stuff. Charles, 1 rebound shy of a double-double. You are seeing, folks, 2 unbelievable players get after it in the post.
Such a big game. UConn now number 4 in the country with their eye on a number 1 seed. And obviously, if LSU can finish strongly, perhaps win the SEC tournament, have Tennessee falter, boy, those seeds so important as UConn trying to get back to the Final Four after missing the last 2 seasons.
Well, Pamela, you're absolutely right. This is why they schedule these games right here, because they want to put it on the line and they want to show the committee that they're worthy of a number 1 seed.
Fouls misses the jumper. Mel Thomas, who did not score in the first half for Connecticut, got the rebound. Thomas, the best three-point shooter in the second best, actually, statistically in the Big East, has not scored as Charles got fouls up on her feet.
Well, she took the recovery angle away from fouls, went straight line to the basket as LSU starts with man-to-man.
Charles now with 15 points, just 5 off her career high. And the lead has been trimmed to 4.
A sagging man as well by Connecticut.
White, the point guard, did not score in the first half, still hasn't. Foul swats at it, but the rebound taken down by Houston. Montgomery controls, doesn't have numbers, but shoots anyway. Rebound snatched down and put back by Kalena Green. Green with her 8th point of the game. If she gets the free throw, it's a 1-point lead. So Kalena Green, one of the best rebounding guards in the country, according to Chris Daly, the associate head coach. For those of you joining us, Connecticut, once down by 12 in this game, has now cut the lead to 1 after the 3-point play by Kalena Green.
Well, Chris Daly did say to us that last year she played with intensity, but she played more like she was watching the game. This year, she's playing like she's in the game. This kid is absolutely off the charts, been in double figures 8 of the last 9 games for Connecticut.
Averaging 13.5 points per game. Kalena now with 9 as White misfires. Hustles for the rebound, keeps it alive, enough fouls. Tied up by Renee Montgomery. Had about 4 held balls in this game, and the ball will go over to Connecticut. Sylvia Fowles, the junior from Miami, 12 points, 10 rebounds in the first half. Her 13th straight double-double.
Pam, what would really help Connecticut if they could run Mel Thomas off some screens and get her the ball, maybe start her on the strong side, make her the screener, then release her just like they're doing now. But sweet job by Erica White to switch out on Mel Thomas.
Even though she's only 5'3", and Renee Montgomery with her 3rd 3 of the game, and Connecticut leads. For the first time since early in the first half, the Huskies up by 2 as we take a timeout. Connecticut has scored the last 8 points of this game. LSU is yet to score in the second half, so Sylvia Fowles' team now trailing Kalena Green's club. UConn last led at 14-13 in this game, and now they're up 39-37.
Pam, the aggression that Connecticut came out of halftime with is 2 different teams. They have started to out-rebound LSU. They're after every loose ball. And we talked about double-figure scoring for 5 players. Even though Mel Thomas has not scored, that talks to their depth.
Thomas has a chance to score on this 3, and she does. It's only a matter of time with Mel Thomas. Now her 59th 3, 12th in the nation in 3-point field goal percentage at over 44%. And the lead is 5. LSU still trying to score in the second half. Fouls, rolls one off the rim, but gets her own miss, and will head to the free throw line.
They're absolutely swarming Sylvia Fowles when she catches the ball. They're going to make her a passer in the second half, not a primary scorer.
Tina Charles whistled for her 3rd personal foul. Boki Chapman's team led by as many as a dozen in the first half, but now Fowles heads to the free throw line. Only a 62% free throw shooter on the season, but has hit both of them so far today.
Boki Chapman's done such a wonderful job with this basketball team. In 2005, she was the Naismith and WBCA Coach of the Year. She took over a program with a heavy heart, taking over from her mentor, the Hall of Famer Sue Gunter, and has just continue to grow the fan base. I mean, this place is packed here at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center.
And Tina Charles heading out there. You see the banner. The late, great Sue Gunner passed away about a year and a half ago. One of the all-time good human beings in this game. So with 3 fouls now, Nancy, Tina Charles is out. Kaylee McLaren, number 41, checks in for her. And we will see how that plays out with fouls on the other end of the floor. Fouls again affecting a shot. She had 3 blocks in the first half, but Sharday Houston takes it right up.
When you are playing on the road, you cannot just meet the intensity level of the home team. You have to exceed it. Connecticut is exceeding it right now. They're playing very confident, man-to-man defensive basketball.
And right away, we see the consequences of Charles being out as McLaren got tied up with fouls underneath, and McLaren is whistled for her second personal foul. We have a couple of great post players in this game, but look at the depth of post players around the nation.
Well, Pam and I had a lot of time on our hands while we were in Baton Rouge, and we decided to put to paper this is definitely the year of the post. I mean, it is just unbelievable, the bevy of posts around the country that could be All-Americans or will be All-Americans.
It's going to be quite a battle for that. Fouls, one of the ones on display today. And now she works defensively on McLaren. And McLaren, just like that, has picked up 2 quick ones. She has 3. So McLaren with 3 fouls. Look at this list.
It's unbelievable. You've got Crystal Langhorne from American, Larkins, certainly Courtney Paris and Candace Parker. I mean, it goes on and on. Allison Bales has had just a breakout season for the #1 undefeated Duke Blue Devils. It doesn't get, there might not be room for any guards.
Boy, I tell you, and that's saying something. Usually a guard-oriented game. Of course, you're going to see Courtney Paris in Oklahoma on ESPN2 tomorrow night.
Get to see Candace Parker this evening.
Yep. With Tennessee taking on Kentucky in regional action after this game is over. Hightower with the shot clock winding down. Fouls, goes right in and gets it.
I'm not sure that I have seen somebody with the skill set athletically as Sylvia Fowles at her height at 6'6" in this game.
16 points for Fowles. And the strip, Cheney all by herself for 2. Deanna Cheney with 9, and LSU's down 1. McLaren staying in the game, even though she has 3 personals for Connecticut, as Gino Auriemma decides to protect Tina Charles, sitting now with her 3 fouls.
Well, he has to do that because Brittany Hunter, the junior, has not played because of a nagging knee problem. He doesn't have as much depth in the post as he normally would.
Well, they expect Hunter to be out for at least another week. Houston, swish. Sharday Houston with 8.
She possesses such a well-rounded offensive game. She can create her own shot, and she's been very consistent 20 times in double figures this season.
Including 23 against mighty Tennessee. Cheney, the best 3-point shooter on this team, ties it up at 46. Fowles could not get a hand on Green's shot. Kalena Green takes it right to the hole.
Oh, wow, what a nice stutter step by Hightower.
Another Fowles rebound as she gets it taken away by Green. 1-on-2, Montgomery gonna take it up over LeBlanc and hit it. In-your-face basketball, Connecticut by 4.
Renee Montgomery last year averaged 9 points a game, this year 12. Earlier in the year, Gino wanted her to dish the ball more instead of shooting it more.
Shot at that time, now with 11 into double figures is Montgomery.
I think both teams believe this is Cleveland.
Yeah, this is something, it feels like Final Four, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Cleveland the site of the Final Four this year. Fouls over McLaren. They're going to get her for getting her over the back on the rebound attempt. Sylvia Fowles with 2 personals. Connecticut up over LSU 50-46. Pokey Chapman always animated. Now she's ticked off. Connecticut with a 4-point lead over LSU as we take you back to the last play in which
Watch McLaren. She's playing the left side right here of Fowles. When she gets the ball, she's forcing her to the middle. But look who's coming to try and help. They're sending the opposite guard just to try and make Fowles have a little bit of doubt on that spin.
Now they called the foul on fouls, and this is during the break. Pokey Chapman went over to Dee Cantner and is explaining to her that it wasn't a foul, and I agree. I don't think it was a foul either. She went over her, but there was no contact.
No, I don't. But
She's
I also
6'6".
She's 6'6". It's gonna be physical. But I also appreciate the way Dee Cantner listens to the coaches, discusses it, but then she ultimately has to make her call as an official.
Because many coaches would just say, get off the court, get away from me. Mel Thomas has hit her last 2 threes.
If you let Mel Thomas get 10 toes to the rim, that means her hips and toes are to the rim. She's dead on shooter.
I said both of her threes here in the second half. Helps on defense and takes the ball away. Another example of a guard helping.
Yeah, well, the passer has to fake that pass to freeze the weak side defender.
Connecticut with a 6-point lead, 7-point lead, make that and the ball. McLaren over fouls, not known for her jump shooting. As she misses it, a second chance as Green gets a fresh 30.
This is a fun Connecticut team, Pam. I really like them. This has been as talented a team since the championship teams and the star power of Taurasi.
All 5 starters averaging in double figures for the Huskies. Oh, that's a foul as Phillips got way too much of that shot. Big Monday in women's college basketball continues with a Big 12 showdown tomorrow night on ESPN2. 2 of the top big players in the country, Tiffany Jackson and Courtney Paris. It's Texas, Oklahoma. Big Monday presented by Bud Light on ESPN2 at 7 Eastern on ESPN, your exclusive home for the women's NCAA championship.
It was Erica White who told us this morning. She said, when I played on the 2006 USA under-20 team that won the gold medal, and Joanne McCauley from Michigan State coached it, she said the one player that so impressed her was Courtney Paris, because she couldn't believe her work ethic day after day, and she even made it a point to room with her. You know, that's smart. Point guards rooming with post players. I like that. Houston
now with 10 points. In fact, she said that Erica White said that she was impressed because Courtney came over to her and said, you're a really good point guard. You make your team go. She said, you have to be impressed with Courtney, not just as a player, but a very mature kid.
Well, right now, Pam, if Oklahoma had a player like Erica White who had confidence at the point, any team that has played speed ball against them, they struggle with at the guard spot.
Hightower with that very unorthodox herky-jerky motion, but it works. She's got the 3, and the lead is down to 6. Fouls with the board.
You know, it's unorthodox for Hightower, but at the McDonald's All-American game, she won the 3-point shooting contest.
Phillips gets it stuffed. McLaren in there, and Thomas comes away with it. Sylvia Fowles, by the way, has 15 rebounds to go along with 16 points. But her team is down by 6.
Well, UConn has blown away the points allowed thus far by LSU this year. They already have 57 points, 10 more than LSU gives up.
Helena Green with 13. So impressed with her development in her game from last year to this.
Isn't that what coaches want? You bring in your freshmen, but it's the sophomores, juniors that have to get better to build your foundation with.
Oh, and Chaney just flat out loses it. The ball goes over to the Huskies. 9 turnovers against the Tigers. They have struggled here in the second half and find themselves trailing by 8.
Scott Reese in our college basketball studios. Elsewhere around the land, it is still a 3-point game in New Jersey. West Virginia leading Rutgers. Michigan State hasn't beaten a ranked team this year and has some work to do at Purdue. It's 39-30, and K-State continues to lead Texas Tech. That lead has now ballooned to 10, 36-26. Still to come on February Frenzy, 4 more college basketball games. Most of you will see Tennessee and Kentucky right around 5:25 Eastern time, and then the 3 other games on your screen as we continue to bounce you around throughout the day. Pam?
All right, thank you, Scott. Of course, Kentucky able to beat Tennessee last year. Mickey DeMoss, the former assistant. And there's Gino Auriemma, not usually wearing sneakers on the sidelines, but it is the Suits and Sneakers weekend as coaches versus cancer raising a ton of money to try to defeat that terrible disease. So everybody on the sideline wearing sneakers, everybody on the LSU coaching staff as well.
Well, those Nikes look really nice with that Armani suit he's got on.
Women's Basketball Coaches Association, Beth Bath, the president, teaming up with the American Cancer Society. They've raised over $30 million since 1993 in this promotion.
Well, it's been amazing, and the big thing for Connecticut in the second half, 2 turnovers now, 62%, And I think the big stat for me is they've got 9 second chance points, which means they're getting on the offensive glass.
Connecticut 10 for 16, 62.5% in the second half, whereas the other guys 4 for 13, LSU just 31% in the second half. Hence the 8-point lead, Connecticut with the ball.
Oh, the battle in the middle is absolutely phenomenal with Sade Houston and Portia Phillips.
And a foul on the shot. Boy, as Montgomery came down and hit her head, she'll be heading to the free throw line to take a couple of shots.
See, she's going hard to the basket right here, that little kind of pull up. You know what, she has a knack for knocking down big shots. She always has since her freshman year. I don't really think she played like a freshman, even though she was a big freshman, Big East freshman of the year last season.
And Montgomery fortunately did not hit her head on the floor. Instead, it was Erica White's hand that knocked her on the noggin that caused some discomfort. But Gino Auriemma going to give her a break and also applauds for her, taps her as she comes out. Gino with liking what he's seen from Renee this afternoon.
No, he really is an amazing coach, and to have the success he's had for so many years, and in that second seat, where would he be without Chris Daly for 22 years? I think if he goes, since he's a Hall of Famer, Chris Daly should be right there and get a Hall of Fame seat, because her contribution to Connecticut basketball should never be overlooked.
LSU remaining stone cold from the floor in the second half.
Look at this, a lot of movement. You make the defense. Look at that flex cut. That's a beautiful play right there.
Boy, but tell you, Soigne's pass just a little bit too tall, and it goes over to the Lady Tigers as she was trying to find Kalena Green on the cut. This crowd, a great crowd at the Pete Maravich Center. They are just trying to will LSU back into this basketball game.
Well, Connecticut's playing really well. They've won 7 games in a row. As you see the beautiful turn and square up by Hightower. It's 7 in a row. You know they play in a ultra-tough conference like the Big East. They have a great non-conference schedule, and they just keep winning.
There are only 2 losses to Tennessee and North Carolina.
And really, Pam, at the end of the day, who cares about it unless you're a fan and you have pride? It's going to make them tougher come March.
Soigne with the missed fouls, can't hold on to it as McLaren knocked it away. Houston goes inside. Green, 1 dribble and the shot. Kalena Green now with 13 points, make it 15 points, 7 of 11 from the floor. And the lead is 9 for the Huskies.
The Huskies doing a great job of taking away Sylvia Fowles, who only has 2 points this half.
And a lot of that done against McLaren with Charles on the bench with 3 fouls. Finally, she gets another one.
Well, that time she got too deep and it was too long a run for the guard to double down. You don't want to double down off a shooter.
18 now for fouls as the lead is cut to 7. Oh boy, Houston right down the gut, and Phillips fouls her.
Check out Sylvia Fowles and how deep she gets on the freshman McLaren right here. I mean, that's a layup waiting to happen.
Fowles just able to take it in for her 18th point of the afternoon. Sade Houston back at the line. Lit up LSU last year with 22 points and a career-high 14 rebounds. She has 11 points so far. Houston, a different player than she was last year, a little, more consistent and a deeper and more talented supporting cast this year than last year, I think.
And I think that they have really reached out to her a lot to say, look, you can't score 20 points one game and give us 5 the next game. Just give us solid numbers across the board. You don't have to do it by yourself. And I think she is showing that she has the talent to give you that consistency.
And you have to give her credit because during the offseason, she really rededicated herself to this team because there was considerations that she might transfer out of Connecticut after last year.
Yeah, well, I have to tell you, Dino would be the first one to send you packing if you weren't doing your job.
Hightower with the miss. They're just throwing up jump shots now and missing most of them. And Green tried to tiptoe the sideline, but couldn't do it.
But those are still aggressive plays by Connecticut. I know it'll be a turnover in the book. I just like what they've done on both sides of the ball, especially in the second half.
Erica White coming in for Rashante LeBlanc as we are approaching 8 minutes to go in this game. LSU led 37-31 at the half, but it's been all Huskies here in the second half.
And these are two incredibly gifted conferences. A year ago, the Big East had 7 teams in the tournament. The SEC had 6 teams in the tournament.
Phillips, another jumper, but this time at least they hit it. Portia Phillips, a freshman from Stone Mountain, Georgia, now with 6.
Well, she's a rhythm player. Her brother Brandon is the starting second baseman for the Cincinnati Reds. So she can turn the double play.
Has another brother, Patrick, who's in the Angels organization. Very athletic family. Lead at 7. Charles back in the game, and she takes it right to fouls, but walks. So Tina Charles had been sitting on the bench for a few minutes with 3 personals. That time she walks. LSU has the ball, but they're down 7 when we return.
Scott Reese in the studio. West Virginia and Rutgers, and Laquita Owens working on a nice afternoon for the Mountaineers. Rise and fire. She's got 14 points, and West Virginia leads it by 6 now with 15.5 to go in regulation. Elsewhere, Michigan State started 1 of 16 from the floor, and the Spartans have clawed back to within 4 of 13th-ranked Purdue. And Kansas State up 10 at Lubbock against Texas Tech. Pam?
Thank you, Scott. Boy, what an upset that would be. West Virginia leading at Rutgers in this game. Connecticut with just a lights-out second half lead LSU, and look at the numbers.
Well, it's absolutely amazing because Connecticut feels like they've been struggling a little bit with their offense. So maybe against the #1 defensive team in the country, you don't think you're going to rack up 62 points with 7.5 minutes to go.
In fact, this is only the 4th time all season that LSU has given up 60 points in a game. They've only given up 70 once, and that is in great peril of becoming 2. Hightower gets the errant ball. It's only a 5-point lead. Cheney can't get it. Rebound to Hightower, and LSU gets not a reset on the clock. It did not reset, but still 17 seconds to go on the shot clock.
Well, Pokey Chapman told us, she says, I don't know why, but my team has had droughts this year where we just can't score. A little 4-around-1 right here, isolation for fouls.
That's where you want to get it into. Sylvia Fowles with 20, and the lead is only 3. 20 points and 15 boards for Sylvia Fowles. And the crowd, many of them on their feet. Houston misses, rebound Cheney.
And they have the numbers.
Cheney has White to her right, but she pulls up and hits. We have a 1-point ball game.
And it's a timeout. Connecticut needs a timeout right here to regroup.
And Gina Oriema will take it. So the UConn Huskies have seen their lead cut to 1.
Well, I think because Sylvia Fowles is now back involved in the offense, Pokey Chapman, very inspirational in her leadership with this team.
An 8-0 LSU run as LSU is trying to keep the 43-game home win streak alive, by far the longest in the NCAA. Bowling Green now #2. Kurt Miller doing a terrific job as the head coach at Bowling Green, the former Colorado State assistant.
And a defensive specialist. Those guys only give up about 55 points a game as well.
Mardi Gras, there's 2 weekends of Mardi Gras. Good time to be in Louisiana, man. And this is the first weekend.
Well, they're doing a lot in Louisiana to overcome the perils of Katrina.
As the fans chant LSU in unison.
And this is something we did not hear in the second half. The fans, the loudness. This is what the home court should be about.
Charles takes it. Cheney crashes to the floor. And Tina Charles gets her 17th point of the day.
That is a big-time basket for the freshman from New York.
Mel Thomas will check in at the next whistle for Connecticut. Good job, boy. Kalena Green just stepping in there and taking the pass away.
On the flight of the ball, she went to the ball, not the player.
11 turnovers for LSU. They had trimmed the lead to 1. Soignier gives it up to Montgomery, and she swishes one home. Soignier and Montgomery, both point guards, but both on the floor at the same time.
I really believe that Montgomery's experience with the USA under-20 team has fueled her confidence.
Boy, White leaves that one short. Charles battles for the rebound, and it's off of LSU. So the Huskies countering nicely, scoring the last 4 points after they saw their lead cut to 1.
Connecticut, these are big possessions. Obviously, 4.5 minutes to go. Gino calling a set play now. LSU can switch guard to guard, but you want to push up on the screen roll.
White getting her hands in on the pass, or on the dribble. Green over Hightower, and it was tipped away as Phillips was behind her, and LSU comes away with the ball.
Solid defensive effort that time by LSU. They swarmed the ball handler and did not foul, kept it alive.
Best defensive team in the country, giving up only 48 points per game on average, but that's going up after this one. Fouls, what a turn. Sylvia Fowles with 22.
She's so good. You know you want to take away her left shoulder, but she gives you that little fake with the ball, which freezes you, which allows her to come back left.
Inside 4 minutes, it's a 3-point Connecticut lead. Green, little step back, short. Cheney with the rebound. 2 on 3, but Cheney's not stopping, and she should have. Boy, Cheney had it in her head. You could see from the very beginning, Nancy, she was going to go to the bucket.
Yeah, but that's the thing with a kid who's been so good at finishing at the rim. You got to let him go because she makes more good plays than bad plays. Know your personnel. You want to fight over the top of the screens on big little screens.
Great position inside, gained by Houston, but Fowles was quick enough to get over there and bother the shot.
She's quick, she's long, she's athletic, and she changes shots. Mentally, she changes shots.
Oh, Phillips fouled as she drives to the basket. Pokey Chapman saying, we're still in this game. 3:09 left to go. One reason why they're still in it, they have Sylvia Fowles, as good as they get inside.
Scott Reese in the studio. Michigan State down 17 at Purdue has clawed all the way back. Aisha Jefferson inside to tie it up. The Boilers now lead it by 1, 42-41, with 6 and change to go. Elsewhere, Rutgers continues to trail at home against West Virginia, and Kansas State 46-35 over Texas Tech in Lubbock. Pam and Nancy.
Thank you very much, Scott, as we've got a great one going here just as we anticipated. Here's a Star Watch update. Tina Charles has been saddled with foul trouble for much of this game, now has 4 fouls. No rebounds in the second half for her, and Sylvia Fowles has been great.
Well, Sharday Houston has picked it up in the second half, and you also once again have 4 Husky players in double figures in scoring. You can't just take away one player. They're too good.
They average 5. The only one who's not in double figures, who usually is Mel Thomas. Phillips has one skip around the rim and out. And initially, let's see, I think Dee Kantner's going to overrule this and say LSU ball.
And a good call. And that's 2 UConn players just going aggressively to the basket. And maybe it was just the positioning of the officials, but they got it right.
Way to work together. Correct call as LSU calls the timeout. White was having trouble getting it in. Connecticut up by 3 with 2:56 left to go. As Connecticut, their last road win against a ranked opponent came a little over 3 years ago when they beat #1 Tennessee in Knoxville 81-67. They are trying to knock off LSU, the number 7th ranked team today. Their losses this year at Tennessee and at North Carolina, and in both of those games they were tied with Tennessee with 4 minutes left, tied with Carolina with 1 minute left, and lost them both.
Well, those are the games that you have to close out. That's like in the game against Rutgers, that 10-point game. When the game was on the line, they came with the goods and they closed that basketball game out, and the same thing against Marquette.
So they're about 5 minutes away, Gino likes to say, from being unbeaten. They have those 2 losses and trying to hang on here against the Tigers. White has not scored in this game until now. That's a long 2. Erica White had been 0 for 6 from the floor, and now it's a 1-point game.
Well, Erica White doesn't score very much, but that time she was wide open, and the defense never got out on her.
Shot clock at 10. Green looking inside, but Houston is guarded. Big 3. That is a money 3 by Renee Montgomery.
She has what they call in the gym range. That is an NBA 3 for a kid that shoots 25%.
17 points for her today as the lead goes back up to 4.
Okay, those are the things that break your back.
LSU shot clock at 10. Chaney working against Green, spins and has Charles in her face, fouls, misses the jumper. Big rebound for Houston.
That was huge defense right there for Connecticut. They played the drive, they slid to recovery, and they made them shoot a shot over the defender.
Now Connecticut trying to bleed the clock a little bit with Montgomery running the point. Boy, Houston had Charles all alone underneath, but held on to it and walked.
Watch Renee Montgomery, who we talked about has deep range. She never thought twice. If your hands are down by your waist and you see the rim, you're open. She was never passing that ball.
It's her 4th 3 of the game and her biggest. Fouls, kicks it out to White. But not a big offensive threat. Phillips buries it. Portia Phillips in double figures with 10.
And isn't this what you would have expected from these 2 teams?
Awesome. 2-point game with a minute 3, minute 2 left as Connecticut takes a timeout.
Portia Phillips has come off the bench. See, she just punches to the spot where people leave because they're trying to take away dribble penetration. Phillips, 8 points in the game.
With that bucket, actually her 10th point now for Phillips as she goes into double figures. And here we go. Connecticut ball, Nancy Lieberman with 22 seconds left on the shot clock. They're up a deuce. What do you think Gino's cooking up over there?
Well, certainly if their first or second options are taken away, they've got to be able to read how they're being played defensively. I suspect that LSU is going to switch anything on the perimeter little to little. If they try to trap screen roll, then Charles or whoever the post is has got to go to the front of the rim.
Both teams with 2 timeouts remaining.
See, this is why you don't know who's going to take the shot, because everybody is capable.
That's the danger. Pick your poison.
This weave is usually to get the ball to a post.
And they do to Charles inside. Can Fouls recover in time? Yes, with the rebound. LSU can tie the game or go ahead with a 3.
They need to just take their time, get in their rhythm, and read how the defense is playing you.
Phillips has had a good second half, but gets stuffed by Houston. And the ball goes over to Connecticut.
Wow, what a play right here. The last person, that's a great call right there.
Mark Zentz, terrific call on the baseline. We got a 2-point ball game, 31 seconds left. Let's head to Scott Reese.
All right, Pam, let's update you from West Lafayette. Michigan State has come all the way back against Purdue. A 16-1 run for the Spartans, capped off by Maya Johnson's 3-pointer. And right now it is 48-46 as the Spartans try to beat a ranked team for the first time this year. Elsewhere, 1-point game in New Jersey. West Virginia, 34-33 over Rutgers. And K-State now up 14 against Texas Tech in Lubbock. Pam.
by K-State, trying to snap that 4-game losing streak, taking on Christy Curry's team in Lubbock. Here in Baton Rouge, this is a terrific game, a 2-point game. Connecticut, the lead, and only 31.1 seconds left in the game. Obviously, with a 30-second shot clock, if you're Connecticut, you just want to take this one out. You don't really need to score again to win.
Well, you have the basketball, and for LSU, they have got to make decisions now. Are they going to let you run some of your possession on the 30-second shot clock? Are they going to foul early so they have more time to get an offensive possession, but they need to stop the clock and get the ball?
LSU with 5 team fouls, Connecticut with 4, so not even close to the 1-and-1 on either side. And as you saw in that graphic, LSU has won 43 straight home games.
And I'm sorry, Pim,
right.
You also have to have your best passer take the ball out of bounds right there. Give the ball to your best foul shooter, and Mel Thomas.
Boy, and Pokey Chapman was beside herself as she did not like what transpired, and Mel Thomas gets fouled, and she's not the... They're not going to go to the free throw line now, but when they get to the bonus, you don't want to foul her. She's a 93% free throw shooter.
Yeah, but you still want the ball in her hands every time.
So 1 team foul away from center to the line. They almost get the steal. Green on the floor, and it's a held ball. LSU possession.
That's what I'm saying. Don't give the basketball to Tina Charles in the corner where you know those defenders of LSU are coming to trap you. Set a screen, give the ball to your guard.
LSU calls its final timeout.
That is a youth mistake by Connecticut. Look how many people were in the corner.
As Charles had the ball grabbed, the possession arrow in favor of LSU. So the Lady Tigers, taking their final timeout, will inbound on their side of the court. 22 seconds left in the game, no shot clock.
No shot clock. They're going to run a little bit of their motion offense where they pass and screen away. I, again, would suspect if it's man-to-man defense by Connecticut, they'll switch anything on the perimeter. I believe fouls will get a touch somewhere down towards the end of that shot clock with about 6 or 7 seconds to go.
Sylvia Fowles with another double-double today. 22 points, over 15 rebounds.
Connecticut cannot overplay this where they let somebody just slip to the rim.
Hightower gets grabbed. That doesn't mean much as Kalena Green called for the personal foul. That is now 5 team fouls against Connecticut.
They need one more. Connecticut needs to foul quickly and burn that foul as quick as they can before LSU can get a shot. Right there, they need...
Jenny hits it before they have a chance to foul, but Connecticut has 17 seconds to win it. Gino Oriema going to call a timeout? No, he's letting them play. Renee Montgomery, could she hit another 3? Yes! Renee Montgomery with 2 huge threes in the final couple of minutes of this game.
Well, that's great recognition as White is looking at Pokey Chapman.
Phillips to tie it, and she does! They're discussing whether it was a 2 or a 3. They're saying it's a 2 for now, but we'll check the monitor to make sure.
And they can. This is a correctable... I don't even want to call it a mistake, but the officials can go to the monitor. Her foot looks like she's on the line.
That is a 2.
It's a 2.
That was a correct call, and they're going to make sure. But I think once Dee Cantner looks at this, it's going to be 1 and done.
Yeah, there is no doubt that as she took flight of the basketball to shoot it, her foot was on the line.
And it was, as Dee Cantner now is looking at it, that was Portia Phillips who got the shot off in time.
Well, great presence of mind by Portia Phillips, the freshman, to step in. But see, when she stepped back right there, she doesn't drag her foot back far enough. That's why you never want to get that close to the line.
And Dee Cantner, we were looking at her, look at it, and as soon as she saw it on the monitor. We read her lips. She said, that's a 2. She's on the line. And she was absolutely right. Oh, boy, what a game we had. LSU has its 43-game home win streak snapped. So now Bowling Green is #1 in that department. But LSU was just a millimeter or so away from tying this game.
What an incredible finish for 2 teams vying for a #1 seed.
So Gino Auriemma's team with the magical second half beats LSU 72-71 in Baton Rouge. Great effort from Sylvia Fowles and Tina Charles. The Huskies go away with the win as we go to Scott Reese.